Yeah.
All right, well, let's get started. First off, who are you guys?
We're Tuff Toenailz.
Yeah, Tuff Toenailz.
I'm Gigi. This is I play bass and vocals. This is Zeph. He does guitar and backup vocals.
I'm Dylan and I play drums. Again.
Right. Dylan the willing to go the extra mile.
All right, where are you guys based or from?
Sacramento, Roseville, Science-ish. Yeah. Oh, basically Sacramento.
All right, sorry about that. How long have you guys been a band, and how long have you guys been a part of Sacramento's underground DIY scene?
We've been a band since about January, I would say. Yeah. Yeah, just about 8 months. And what was the other question?
The other question is, how long have you guys been a part of Sacramento's DIY underground scene? I know you mentioned before, it's been about a year for you.
Yeah, like 8 months to a year.
What about you, Zeph?
8 months.
Okay. For me, I've kind of been around. You know, I was a spectator for a lot of it. Like back when I was 14, I was in a band called Cavalier, and we didn't play a ton of shows, but the guys that I played with went off and did all sorts of shit, and you know, I was always happy to support them. I never really the type of music that I wanted to do. There just weren't very many people in town at the time that were interested in that. So I just kind of sat and wrote songs, and you know, I pitched them to middle bands that I'd be in, but like it wasn't really what I was passionate about. They'd always shoot the songs down. And that's kind of what Tuff Toenailz is.
Okay. How did you guys like the venue and the crowd?
Personally, the venue, like I said before, it's great cool for my dad to get this trust. And the crowd was, you know, everybody's getting up and jumping. There's even some new people that weren't playing. Glorious. There's, you know, a whole bunch of people out there, especially like for a good amount of songs, everybody's like jumping around, and then we're like, oh yeah, it's about a song where you can't take your girlfriend out. It was, yeah, you know, everybody gets it. But yeah, everybody was hyped. I love the crowd.
Yeah, that was my big thing. It's just I got such a great local scene, you know, to form around. I mean, for all that Sacramento, you know, we don't have like a ton of quote unquote big bands, you know, but the bands that we have, we're fucking tight. You know, it's all kind of grassroots. You know, that's how it feels. Grassroots.
Okay. All right, well, on to the main chunk of the interview. I'm going to be asking you guys questions about the local DIY underground scene itself. I'm going to be writing an article for Clear Vision Collective, more so about what you guys have actually brought me into and the entirety of it, because since I got started, not only have I been hooked, but you guys have been extremely active and almost doing all of it your guys' selves. So my first question for you guys are, what are some of the challenges that you've faced setting up DIY shows this year?
A big one is definitely bands canceling. There were about 2 bands that canceled, and then we picked up LRC and you know, just stretched things out the way that we needed to. But it's definitely, it was hard to sell tickets and like promote it when the flyer was kind of outdated. You know, the crowd would go back and be like, oh, it's not these bands. You know what I mean?
Change it for like 2-3 nights.
And I mean, I think overall, it's just like, the thing about Tuff Toenailz is like, you know, I feel like it's that sort of thing where they like it if you can get them to take a bite, you know? It's like
Well, you gotta kind of warm them up to it.
well, exactly. I think part of that might be the gross band name, but it's got its namesake in reality. I've got really fucking nasty toenails. I thought that would be pretty fucking tough rock.
Yeah.
Toenailz.
Well, DIY underground scene impacted your music directly?
Well, I'd say for me particularly, most of it is seeing what's out there and thinking, well, what can I do? You know, how can I set what we're doing, not so much like just to be different, but to be unabashedly ourselves and not to compromise.
Okay.
For me personally, like coming into the scene, it's not simply showing me a lot of different, like personally for like drumming wise, it showed me a lot of different styles of drumming, like that I can add to my like already existing like style, and then you can make something new out of it, and you can bring that to what you're playing, and it can be different than somebody else's, kind of style, but it's still fit that genre or just whatever genre you're trying to fit into. Or you can even mix multiple genres like one song. So yeah, just personally, any drummers out there, one little thing of advice, just dive into a whole bunch of different genres and try to put those like together, and you can really make something new. And just like each trying to have something different they give you, so it can really expand your music.
Alright. What would you guys like others who are on the outside to know about this scene and your guys' role in it?
Well, so far as the scene goes, I think that really the most important thing to know about the scene is like no one gives a fuck who you are. You know, no one gives a fuck, you know, like what you look like or, you know, what kind of music you like. You know, it's like a big family, you know, we love each other, we support each other. I mean, it's just like a family, you know? And I'm sorry, what was the other part of your question?
So it is, what would you guys like others to know about the scene? And that is that it's like a big family and it's very welcoming. And what is your guys' specific role in the scene? Like how are you guys impacting other bands or other musicians or other people who might just be walking across the street, hear your guys' music and decide to love it?
Yeah, we're
Shut the door. Shut the door.
Oh, I did it.
Shut it. Just for the noise, sorry.
To answer your question about like what role we play in the scene, I would say that, you know, not to be like, well, punk's not dead, but I mean like, literally since COVID, you know, I mean just the scene in general is really kind of not falling apart per se, but definitely scattered to the wind. You know, so I think our role really, especially as you know, event organizers, is to bring together this sort of, you know, collective group of pop punk. You know, bring the local pop punk and ska together, and you know, create a scene that's friendly towards that area of music, because while it exists, it can be sometimes hard to fit them onto a set list, you know, with say like 3 or 4 hardcore bands, and then you've got like, I don't know, like it's hard to get a show that like really appeals to that demographic. So I think that's really something that we're working towards.
If you guys had a message for others who are looking to start setting up their own DIY scene and events, what would that message be?
Treat your band as well. 200%. You know.
But treat your own band well, treat your bandmates well, treat other bands well, because if you're friends with other bands and those bands can be friends with other bands, you can make connections here and there. And basically, you know, you just like get your name out there if you really, you know, are that cool band. You can't be really like, oh, this band sucks, so we're not gonna play them. Well, if they do suck, they can still out, man. And it gives them more opportunity to learn and you know, grow as a band. And then that means like if they see that they're getting all these people, like, okay, we really need to step up our game. And in that like obviously there's nothing wrong with like knowing that we're small. They're probably not as good as the other bands you're playing with, but that doesn't mean you can't improve. So, yeah.
Well, and I think that a big part of the reason, like as a promoter, a big part of the reason why, you know, I'm all about like treating the bands well, you know, is like, for one thing, you want them to want to come back and play again, you know? And I mean, for another thing, it's like, why would they give a fuck about selling your tickets if, you know, they're just whatever, some riffraff, just I guess we're gonna let you play, you know, like who wants to do that, you know? If we were gonna do that, we'd just own a venue. You know, that's what I've been used to in the scene, you know, coming up is you know, just kind of just being thankful for the opportunity to play, and don't get me wrong, I still feel that gratitude, but it's also the feeling of like we're all of us as musicians are trying to make a career out of it. You know, ultimately, I mean, there are people that don't, but you know, a lot of us as musicians, we're just looking to create a job, you know, create a stable income. And my opinion is that, you know, artists need to support each other in that.
Is there anything you'd like to add? Any message for people looking to start their own scene that maybe you have for them, for anybody?
Honestly, I would just say don't be afraid to be fucking weird.
All right, that's a pretty good one. I like that one.
Because you don't get to wear anywhere by just, you know, being normal and just playing it everywhere. You gotta be weird.
Yeah,
It's all
definitely.
about being unique. Because
Yeah.
if you don't stand out from other people, they're like, oh, well, they're just like them, they're not as popular, so I should be here. But if you are unique, like, these guys are cool, they're not gonna be that popular, but they have, you know, there's some goals in it.
I guess just to tie that together, what we're really looking to do is to kind of cultivate that local cult following of like, if you go to a Tuff Toenailz show, you know that there's going to be some other bands that are going to be kick-ass, you know, and you just generally know that it's going to be a good time.
Definitely. That's something that I know as soon as your guys' band's on the roster, I know I'm going to be enjoying myself. I've been mentioning your epic kazoo skills to everybody that asks us about you guys. And last but not least, what are some of your guys' plans for the future with underground DIY events and shows?
Well, for starters, we're working on a show in October. You know, kind of near Halloween. Do some fun with that. Besides that, we've got a show booked out. Well, it's not booked yet, but we're working on booking it right now for about a year out. We're still figuring out the venue, but we're looking to do something of Lollapaloser scale, but for 2 days. Kind of start out the first day hardcore, and then the next day kind of more pop oriented. So that everyone gets a chance to see something that they, you know, are passionate about.
Definitely. That's actually something that Clear Vision Collective is possibly going to be looking into doing. I mentioned to a couple of other bands that they have a connection for DIY house shows out in San Luis Obispo, and they also have connections for booking agents out in the LA area, because that's part of the area where they work also. And if you guys are going to be throwing your own events, Clear Vision Collective has a lot of artists working with them that are in psychedelic rock to even rap to more of a pop-like convention. So working with a collective like this might be one of the great ways for you guys to kind of solve one of those problems of having bands quit and cancel out. Your guys' band roster to add to your events might expand greatly via Clear Vision Collective. And one final thing, is there anything you guys would like to shout out or promote? Any merchandise, publishings, new albums, new recordings, anything at all?
Well, for starters, tufftoenailz.com, you can get to literally all of our social medias. It's just like, bam.
Instagram, TikTok, Facebook.
So your guys' website would be number one, tufftoenailz.com?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
go there, that's where you find most of our information.
And I mean, besides that, you know, I really want to shout out Dylan's dad, Greg Leal.
Me too.
He fucking. You can tell he loves the fuck out of his.
I got a couple of questions with him. Actually, he hopped in Misfit Williams' interview. Him and I forgot his name, but the person who was at the door registering tickets.
Oh yeah.
They kind of came in and they added a lot of side input, and it was actually really cool to not just get a little bit of a band interview, but actually kind of a couple questions in with your dad and about the scene that he is literally helping to cultivate.
Absolutely. Well, that's something I can't quantify my gratitude for that.
Definitely. Same here. I was mentioning it to them too. Same here. That's why as soon as everything did kind of happen with my group, I really wanted to make sure that I still made it here to show you guys my support. That was kind of my one of the bigger things. I was a little worried in case any of the other guys might show up and how things might go. But ultimately I decided like I'm not going to start anything. I'm not going to find anyone. I'm not going for any of those reasons. I'm going because of the community that I've been invited to and the way that community makes me feel when I'm a part of it. So thank you guys for collectively all making me feel like I am a part of that family and like I have a home with you guys. Like I have a scene and I have a community. And it's definitely something that I want to document and I really would like to put out on CBC's platform. So you guys should be looking forward to that. I'm going to be writing my article. I was talking with Spencer. I don't know if any of you guys got a chance to meet him today. I was talking to him about trying to push it out so that we could have it done by the end of September. Things might not work out. I have a co-writer. We're going to have to collaborate all of our videos, all of our photos together. But one thing he was mentioning was that since I am working here directly with bands, that if I can be doing single reviews, which I had mentioned with Tegan before, since I'm working with you guys directly, I can basically allow you guys to skip the submission process, fill in all your guys' information as long as you guys provide me your EPK, your press photos, a small bio, and whatever single or album or project it is you guys are wanting me to review. I'll most likely end up being directly in charge of CBC's Northern California's rock division or punk division, whatever you want to call it. I'm more so going to be the head on that. So I look forward to working with you guys more in the future. Thank you guys for taking the time to interview with me.
Thank you.